Let's talk winners and losers. What teams do you think did the best on draft night? Give me one.
The easy one is Detroit Pistons.
Okay,
I mean,
tell me why.
that's far and away the first. With getting Jaden Ivey where they did, I never thought he'd get out of the top 4, and for him to get 5th. If you told Detroit that somehow you end up with Jaden Ivey, and I've had a few people reach out to me and be like, hey, show is great, draft show is great. That Jalen Duren pick was a mess. I said, yes, tell the people who are reporting it, because we were trying to figure it out
Yeah.
as they were. I know he's a Piston now, so I apologize if we talked too much on the Knicks there. I love the idea of Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and that's sort of your young core with Sadiq Bey. I think I just read they're picking up Hamidou Diallo's option or whatever. But then it saves all the money. If you want to go out and get DeAndre Ayton in free agency, great. If not, you have the rim running, lob catching Jalen Duren, the change of pace and change of speed that Jaden Ivey's going to give that team from day one. Even if the jumper is not quite there yet, we don't have to get nitpicky. For Cade Cunningham to be able to reverse the ball and know that Jaden Ivey can boogie and at least create scrambles and switches and these advantageous things and get the court tilted, and then you get hit in the corner, and then you have to close out hard to Sadiq Bey, and then he can drive, and you have Jalen Duren the dunker spot. They got better immediately, which is, the fits don't always become the best one from the immediate get-go. I felt that way from Jaden Ivey, making them better from the first time he laced up his shoes to play summer league.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, I've talked about the Jaden Ivey fit with Cade ad nauseum. I don't know that we need to do it, but we should talk about Jalen Duren quite a bit more, given that we didn't talk about it on draft night enough.
I'm sorry.
Look,
we
really
tried.
We had to move on at a certain point. The thing's coming too fast, it just gets crazy. The Jalen Duren thing is interesting, if only because the day before they traded Jeremy Grant, an hour at The Athletic, James Edwards reported they're going to be players for DeAndre Ayton. And there's no way that you can draft Jalen Duren, give up assets for him, and then go and give DeAndre Ayton a max contract. So it was interesting to me. We knew that they liked Jalen Duren going in. That had been not clear, but it seemed like Troy Weaver was a fan of Jalen Duren going into the draft. They did well to get him. It only cost taking on Kemba Walker's deal, basically, and then a future first round pick they acquired for Jeremy Grant. I think they did very, very well here to get Jalen Duren and use that Jeremy Grant pick essentially to guarantee themselves a lottery pick at the end of the day by taking on the Kemba Walker deal that doesn't really impact all that much flexibility for them.
And they look like geniuses, because if you had the second pick and the 6th pick and you used all the stuff to get there, but they did it to get up, where did Jalen actually get drafted? Was it 11th?
13th.
So he's 13, so even better. You get him at 13, where you have him on 13 of the Horns. You have him on your board in the top 5 or 6. There's incredible, just you feel like you win based on the draft position, based on what your board was too.
Yeah, the talk before the draft was, oh, there's no way they're going to get number 7 for Jeremy Grant, right? There's no way that Portland is going to move that number 7 pick for Jeremy Grant. Here's the thing. All they had to do was take on Kemba Walker, and I would imagine that they feel like they got value. They got the same player they were going to take at number 7 for Jeremy Grant at number 13. So they essentially got the exact pick that they wanted in the Jeremy Grant deal just by moving it and forwarding along to a third party, essentially. It was brilliant. I thought it was very, very smart from Troy Weaver. If you look at it in the bigger context of the entire thing that they did, I thought it was remarkably impressive the way that they figured it out. Whether or not you and I are high on Jalen Duren, I would imagine Troy Weaver's a little bit higher on him. It's undeniably genius the way that they went out and got their guy using the asset that they had in Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, and just the offense changes too. You're able to add and save all that money in free agency if you don't want to go out and spend it. You have a young guy or two, and if you want to just take it along slowly and not sign any more veterans and still be bad, these guys will get a lot of reps and they'll improve with time. Jalen Duren is supposed to be a freshman in college. He reclassified up. He hasn't turned 19 until November. He has his best basketball ahead of him too. If he fixes his feet a little bit, fixes defensively, the switches, we pull out the perimeter, a little smarter with his fouls, a little bit more polish, but he's going to play hopefully hard. Like the motor stays on and they get him revved up and down. If he's blocking shots and throwing outlet passes, then trailing the play, and here he comes, and Jaden Ivey's doing that little scoop back pass to him, and he's ripping down the rim. There's a lot of value in drafting a starting center 13th when he didn't have to give up a ton of it for him.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. He is so set up for success right now with Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. Like undeniably, like those guys are going to feed him at the end of the day. He played with 0 point guards this year at Memphis, and now he's going to play with 2 that can actually feed him the ball. And it's really valuable. It's going to be as good as Jalen Duren can be. Jalen Duren is in a position now to reach what his ceiling can be, I think, in a real tangible way moving forward. Look, we have to talk about Houston. Like,
you have to.
Houston is a winner here. They were phenomenal. Like, they get 3 of my top 14 players, 3 of my lottery guys for the second straight year. And the first year went okay on that. The second year, though, will hopefully be a 3-for-3 hit. Tari Eason, I've been high on Tari throughout the process. I think he is one of the most impactful defenders in this draft class. I think that Houston is even going to be able to play small with him and Jabari at the 4-5. I think he's legit strong enough to guard like some 5s at the end of the day. I think he can actually hold up, and then you can slide Jabari off at the 4 and let him use his length to kind of wreak havoc in the way that he's capable of. Obviously, having those 2 guys in the front court, if they both hit, will allow you to insulate Alperen Şengün in a real tangible way. I love it. I think that all of this made sense for them. And on top of it, they got Ty Washington at 29. Yeah. And by the way, they picked up, I think, two second-round picks to move down from 26 to 29 to pick up Ty Washington, who, as I said on the draft show, live show, that while we were talking at number 17, I feel pretty good that they probably had Tari Eason, Ty Washington as their top 2 options at 17. And they ended up taking Tari, and they were able to wait, and they ended up getting Ty in the first round.
The Ty progression and story and timeline for the last 14 months is like kind of nuts when you think about it. He was committed to Creighton. He decommits. He has a great season in kind of the background of high school. Commits to Kentucky, becomes like a top 30-ish kid. Preseason, he was like 15th, 20th, has a couple good games. We bump him up to like 7th, bump him down to 30th. We settle at like the 20s. He ends up at 29.
Oh, let's be clear here. You bump him down to 30th. I was a believer.
I know you are, but that's sort of the point I'm trying to make here. How did we get here where he actually ended up at 20? Who cares? I had him 29th or 30th. I ended up with him at like 24th. Was this like kind of non-linear of a draft graph, I guess, of a guy's actual status that you can remember, that we still, and you probably more than me, think that he can be a contributor and a really good pick, but he goes 29th and not maybe 9th, what we thought. Because think about it, like when the year started, Jalen Duren was first. All right, we quickly learned that was too much. But Ty was like, take the injury aside, every 3 games, I kind of changed what tier I had him in as I searched for who's the top league guard in the class. And so it's been really all over the place.
Well, why that is that the Kentucky fit was so bad. It was so bad for him to succeed. He had to play next to Severe Wheeler. He had to play next to Oscar Tshiebwe. He had to play next to Keon Brooks and Jacob Toppin at the 4. Like, they had 1 shooter. The most shooters they had out there with Ty at once was 2. It'd be Davion Mintz and Kellen Grady. There was never a time where he had more than that out there. In the NBA, in Houston, he's going to have 5 guys out there who can shoot. Like, it's going to be him, and it's going to be 4 other guys, or it's going to be him and Alperen Şengün and 3 other guys. And Şengün is so good with the ball in his hands on the perimeter that you actually have to push up and guard him on the perimeter. Otherwise, he's going to hit you because you have to close down the passing angles. So the court is going to be so much more well-spaced for him. He brings out a lot of the skills in terms of processing the game, in terms of making high-level reads quickly, that Jalen Green is still working on right now. Like, Jalen Green, for the most part, is, okay, I'm going to take a ball screen, or I'm going to be, on a wing. I'm going to attack closeout. I'm going to be, catching a second side kick out, maybe getting in isolation, attacking, right? Not a crazy passer. I think he got a little bit better at passing throughout the year. I think he's going to be okay as a playmaker for a primary scorer, but that's going to be his role. He's going to be the primary scorer who makes quick decisions and probably has the ball in his hands a little bit more. I think Ty Ty is going to be able to feed off of that in a real way. I think he's going to be. I think that like this is another Kentucky guard that we look at went way too low. We're going to look up and he's going to be the 14th best player in this draft.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, like, hey, there's Tyrese Maxey 2.0. We should have taken him 6th.
No, he's not that because he's not that athletic. But
exactly.
Like,
and that's like the blend. You have the blend of Jalen Green's super athleticism and Ty Ty's more of a paced game. So even though it's going to be spaced out, he doesn't have that blinding first step or burst. He wants to take mid-range jumpers. So it's still going to have to be a screen, but it helps when Jalen Green's beating the first guy, someone's recovering to you, or here's a ball screen. So like that makes your first step better because someone else like took that one for you. So that works with the piece around him, and then having those shooters spread out and not playing so much of a combo guard or 2 guard when he really should have been on the ball more. Yeah, 29. I like that pick.
Should we talk about what Oklahoma City did here? Moved 3 first-round picks for Ousmane Dieng. They then stay at 12 and draft Jalen Williams, who was like clearly the late riser of this draft. And I had him at 14 on the last mock. I had texted you and our mutual friend, a couple hours before the draft and said, I don't think he's going to get to 14, to be honest, just because I thought that someone would jump the Cavs, because I think that it was pretty clear the Cavs, their list I thought was Dieng, Jalen Williams, and Ochai. So I kind of thought that someone would try to jump them, and Oklahoma City sort of did, because they jumped for Ousmane and made it so they stayed and had the extra pick for Jalen. What was your thought on those final 2 Houston or Oklahoma City picks in the first round that were a bit strange, just like a bit off the beaten path from certainly where you and I have those guys? I don't know about ranked, but like, certainly with Ousmane, like we weren't quite as high as giving up 3 first-round picks for Ousmane Dieng.
I wasn't for Ousmane. I have him about 20th. For Jalen Williams, I think I had 15th or 16th, but like I get it. And I liken it to have to do it. Josh Primo last year. The Spurs want to take him as high as they did? No, but they knew teams 3-4 spots below were forcing their hand that like, if we're going to do this, we got to do now. So for Jalen Williams, if that's your guy, Ousmane Dieng, if that's your guy, you have these assets. You have all these picks. Empty the clip. If it's going to take 3 lottery protected picks to get the guy that you believe in, I wouldn't have done it necessarily for Ousmane Dieng. But if that's what it takes, then these are the reasons you do the trades. You want to get better in the draft. If you love them, go do it. You're not going to get better sitting on the sidelines and waiting and picking 26th. If you can get up there and take 3 guys in the lottery, then more power to you. They want to build around length. They want to build around IQ. They love the late riser of Jalen Williams. Also in that press conference, Sam Presti admitted, said he really wasn't on our radar as much as all these other guys, but he beat down the door in the process. He was awesome at Santa Clara. He was awesome at pre-draft. He came in, crushed all his individual workouts. That's how you get noticed. A late riser with a chip on his shoulder. And they love Jalen Williams so much, they drafted another one. They took 2 Jalen Williams. That's how enamored they were with him as a prospect. They had to take the guy at Arkansas too, which is amazing because I looked this up and they did the Spider-Man like meme to each other about like pointing back and forth.
The best
is that one goes by. So Jalen Williams from Santa Clara goes by J Dub. Jalen Williams from Arkansas goes by J Will. So have fun with that, media out there. In short, I like the way that Oklahoma City is building. They're believing in whatever process they've kind of created and get the prospects and use the picks to get those guys that you have at the top of your board.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's something that we talked about, I think, on the draft show. I can't remember if we talked about it on the draft show or if I wrote about it afterward. All of that blends together now. But Oklahoma City is clearly building around this idea of the intersection of positional size and skill. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a 6'6" point guard. Josh Giddey is a 6'9" guard, basically, who's like an incredible processor of the game and elite level passer. Jalen Williams is 6'6" with 7'2" wingspan, can dribble, pass, shoot. Came up as a lead guard. Ousmane Dieng is 6'9", 6'10", and he is essentially like point forward, and he's a passer. He has all these skills as a playmaker with the ball in his hands. Obviously, Chet is
all
7
of that,
foot tall.
whatever you just said. Yeah, he's
all of what we said
all the
to
above.
the nth
Yeah,
degree.
all the boxes.
Yeah.
Check all that apply. Keep checking. That's who he is.
Yeah, so it's just very clear what they're building around now, and I think it's fucking brilliant. Like it's not like this unbelievable concept, right? It's not this like, oh my god, it's so crazy. They're just drafting the big tall guys with skill who can like shoot and score and pass and dribble, right? But when you actually go about it, utilizing the assets that you have at your disposal, just taking those guys, utilizing those assets, thinking those guys are going to hit, or if those guys hit, they're going to hit bigger than other guys do. I think it's incredibly fucking smart. And really very few other teams have done this yet at this point. Like I would say Boston kind of, but not really. Like even Jalen Williams to an extent in the second round from Arkansas, like 6'10", can dribble, pass, and some people think he can shoot. Jalen Williams from Arkansas certainly being one of them, thinking that he can shoot. So they're just using every asset at their disposal to get these guys that they strongly believe have this type of skill in their game, have this type of skill set, have this type of toolbox, and they're going from there. And I love it. I love absolutely every second of it.
Was Oklahoma City so in on Chet, like so in, that they saw Santa Clara because they're watching Chet, like, ooh, take Jalen Williams? Did they watch the Arkansas game in the tournament, like, take that Jalen Williams too? Were they just like so singularly focused on full Chet that like you had to take all the pieces there?
That was a good Jalen
it just started spinning. I was like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here. I'd like to mention one more team. We talk one more kind of winner.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I want to go with the San Antonio Spurs because similar to your Houston thing about 3 guys in your top 14, I had 3 guys in my top 18 in Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley. So you're getting younger. You're adding shot creators. They're all 19 years old or so. Josh Primo is 4 months older than that crew, just to kind of frame like the age thing. But I like that beyond just the haul on draft night is it gives you this built-in contingency plan for 2 danglers they have in a roster. With Jakob Poeltl entering free agency in a year, Jeremy Sohan can play next to him right now, or if he goes away, he can play the 5. You have some length out there. You can move some pieces. DeJounte Murray, he was mentioned in like some trade talks. Whether that's real or not, now you have 3 guys that are there too. What are you laughing at?
You're getting so close on DeJounte Murray's name.
God. I thought I was there, man. I was like, it's one like little silver.
You're getting so close.
DeJounte. But if he's traded, right? If he's not traded, you now have 3 guys right there that you plug and play. You don't have to redraft. You don't have to sign anybody free agency. You get younger, get some assets. Yeah, that's all I got. I thought I did well.
Yeah, no, I look, I was a little bit lower on Wesley and Branham than you were, but same tier at the end of the day, right? And I actually think that for San Antonio, these are guys that they have had success developing their types in the past, right? Blake Wesley is a crazy shot creator athlete who really needs to learn to shoot. Spurs have had great success teaching guys to shoot on some level and like getting the most out of that. Malachi Branham needs to extend his range out. The Spurs have had really good success, for instance, expanding Keldon Johnson's range out. Jeremy Sohan, like I just totally believe in that guy, and I'm really glad he went to like a very competent organization that will develop him because I think that he is going to be a very, very good player. Do you have any losers here?
I think it's too early to say losers. The perceived
I don't like doing losers.
I don't either because there's differences, and I talked about this last week. The Kings, I love Keegan Murray, so I'm not going to say they're a loser. I still think you take Jay Ivey. And the Knicks are not losers, but it's worth mentioning here because that's been the chatter. People are mad at the Knicks. So you didn't walk away with like a pick. They stacked some picks. They cleared some cap space. I'm a draft romantic. I am. That said, there's multiple ways to build and improve your roster. The Knicks are going a different direction for it. That doesn't mean they lost the draft because they didn't come home with whoever they were supposed to take at 11 or what have you. Like that, it's okay. Like you don't have to have picks every year in order for this to work. They want to go sign somebody in free agency for $100 million. Yeah, you need to get some stuff off the books. So
coming into the draft, if you would have told me that they could have gotten 3 first-round picks for the number 11 overall pick,
do it.
Take it.
Do it.
Go.
Blindly say do it.
Run.
If for whatever reason one of our top 3 guys slips down there, maybe. But if that happens, something is very wrong. So on paper, on surface level, take the 3 picks, punt on this one in a draft that some weren't as high on. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Maybe they just thought the value for getting 3 picks instead of taking 1 that they were lukewarm on, it was better off that they walked away with.
Well, and for the Knicks particularly, it's better off for them because they have a real ability to package all of these things. Being in a major market, people do want to go play for the Knicks. They're going to be able to package all of these picks moving forward for a potential star. And I think that's what they're trying to do at the end of the day. They're trying to create a cache of assets that will put them in the mix. Now, I didn't like the second set of trades they made at number 13. I think that using 4 second-round picks essentially to get off of Kemba Walker and what I think is a little bit of like first-round draft capital, not in terms of picks, but in terms of like potentially sliding down and not getting as valuable of a pick. I think that's a large price to pay, and I don't love it, to be honest. But at the end of the day, like picking up 2 extra first-round picks for number 11 trounce or like way overvalues, giving up 4 second-round picks at the end of the day, I think. So
not losers. Take that.
And they do get off of the Kemba Walker deal, which is something they seem set to do. I don't know if I love the whole big picture of what they're trying to do, but I get it, at least, is what I would say.
I do too.